Hey guys, welcome back to Bleav in Eagles. I'm your host, Mayock, and have no fear, my dad is back. Welcome in our guest of the week, Mike Mayock, after a little, he was on IR for a little bit last week when he was nominated for Antonio Brown's Cracker of the Year award. Sorry to say he did not come on this podcast as the winner, but there's always next year. Right, Dad?
Gee, thanks for that intro.
How do you feel about being nominated for Cracker of the Year?
Not a whole lot different than when he called me that.
Okay, fair enough. All right, as always, this podcast is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. Head to Bet Online today, and don't forget to use promo code Bleav, B-L-E-A-V, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. This is NFL Week 18, and that is a really fun time for betting, I've discovered, because NFL Week 18, the final week of the NFL regular season, is full of player incentives that are built into players' contracts. So players from teams who have no shot of being in the playoffs are going to do everything they can to make sure that they hit some of these numbers in their contracts to make $1 million, $500,000, $250,000. And it's all over the league on every team, offense and defense. If I were to suggest my favorite incentive I've seen for week 18 this week, it would be Mike Evans. He's 5 receptions and 85 receiving yards away from $3 million. So, and we also know that Baker Mayfield is big in helping his teammates with this stuff. He wants his teammates to get those records and that money, whatever it may be. So definitely Mike Evans for 5+ receptions and 85+ receiving yards. Another one on my radar, Geno Smith. He's 185 passing yards away from $2 more million. So why not get him that? And as a quarterback, you can kind of, do the most to get that for yourself. And then actually I do have one more. Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is one touchdown away from winning from making $500,000. And you weren't on the pod last week, Dad, but I was telling them how I have made it a new rule for myself. No more bets on anytime touchdown scorers. I thought it was like a gimme. I was so excited. I was like, this makes so much sense. Logically, yeah, of course CeeDee Lamb is going to get a touchdown in this game. Like, it's a long game. He usually does. And then I was waiting with bated breath on every time the Cowboys were on offense, and then he got hurt. Like the game that I did the bet on CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown scoring, he got hurt, and then my whole entire thing was screwed. So that is not as much as a gimme as I once thought. So I had ruled out anytime touchdown scorers from my betting repertoire forever. NFL Week 18 is the exception to the rule. Derrick Henry, mark it down, 1 touchdown, anytime touchdown scorer, because he will earn $500,000 more. What do you think of those, Dad?
I think you're being smart by triggering players have emotion for other players on their team to make that kind of money. And like I saw Baker Mayfield talking about how it would be good for the Buccaneers and their chances of winning if Mike Evans catches more passes. So he's like, we're going to do everything we can to get him a bunch of catches.
And I think that's the general consensus around the league, right? As long as there's that, obviously the Mike Evans Baker helps the team win, and as they need to, they need to win this game. But also the players that aren't in playoff contention, don't you think they rally around and try to get their guys what they need?
Yeah, I think very much so. The only fly in the ointment is that the other team still gets a vote. So,
well, that's true. Which vote trumps the other? We'll see. But so speaking of incentives, right? We saw that Zack Baun, so the Eagles outside linebacker from Wisconsin, he is now officially a Pro Bowl selected player, his first time since he's been playing in the league. And he had an incentive in his contract for making the Pro Bowl. Did you see that?
I did.
Wasn't it cute? He was like, there was no way. It was in his contract, and he said, there's no way that would even matter, but sure.
if you look at his past history, and it's not like he's been in the league a year or two, it's been what, 8 plus or minus? And usually when you're a GM and an agent, you put those things in for just about everybody, but only a percentage have realistic chances of cashing them in. Mm-hmm. And Zack Baun himself said today or yesterday after he made the Pro Bowl, it's like, wow, I never even thought twice about triggering a Pro Bowl bonus. And those are cool stories, right? And he did it himself, but I think Vic Fangio is the guy that kind of saw with a position change, this is the kind of guy that fits right in what I want to do. And his numbers are off the charts.
Yeah, speaking of that, there has been some chatter in Philadelphia regarding Zack Baun. People are saying that his performance this season, he should be in the conversation and at the top of the list for Defensive Player of the Year. The argument being, starting with, if he had a different name, a more flashy name, more known name, maybe a TJ Watt name, that he would be in this conversation. He would have been in this conversation a while ago, right, earlier in the season, and it would have been a lot louder. And sometimes, unfortunately, with these voting situations, like the loudest people win. Kind of like a PR push, if you will. But what do you think about Zack Baun in the conversation of Defensive Player of the Year?
Do you have his numbers in front of you?
Okay, well, so here's what I want to tell you, actually. It's funny you ask.
Okay.
Because I knew that that's what you were going to say. And I kind of made this, I tailored this for you because one of your favorite linebackers ever, Luke Kuechly.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Superman, Clark Kent, whatever you want to say. You're obsessed with that guy. Rightfully so. He's a dog, a beast. He's a generational talent, I would say, on defense, right? Yeah, you love him. So I pulled up the year he won Defensive Player of the Year, 2013. I pulled up those statistics, okay? Those numbers.
Yep.
Wow, I feel like a lawyer.
This will be the only time, so enjoy it.
Okay. So Luke Kuechly, 2013, the year he was DPOY. Tackles, 156. Tackles for loss, 10. Forced fumble, 0. Sacks, 1. Interceptions, 4. And his team was ranked number 2 on defense, okay?
Yep.
Now, compare that to Zack Baun of 2024 on the Eagles right now, okay?
Yep.
Tackles, 150. Tackles for loss, 11.
Yep.
Sacks, 3.5. Forced fumbles, 5. Interceptions, 1. And his team defense is ranked number 1 right now. So looking at those numbers, how is Zack Baun not at the top of the list?
I think you make a really strong case for Zack Baun. Mm-hmm. I don't know who Kuechly was up against in 2013. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that competition looked like. What's really interesting to me for Zack Baun, number one, is that the case against inside linebackers is that it's not a position of priority. Howie mm-hmm. Roseman has never made it a position of priority. A lot of teams don't. You can find, it's a little bit like the running back on offense. Yeah, you can find a linebacker. However,
well, we've seen how that's gone.
Well, however, exactly, the off-the-ball linebacker that makes a difference somehow, and Kuechly did it with a lot of interceptions. He was unbelievable with that as a linebacker. The number that sticks out for me with Baun is 5 forced fumbles. The only person that has more than that is TJ Watt with 6.
Right.
Okay.
Whose name is also at the top of the list for this. Yeah.
Yeah. So in my head, like when you say Defensive Player of the Year, the guys that I think of are Myles Garrett, who was last year, and you can make a case that he's having a better year. He's leading the league in sacks with 14, or he's tied for the lead. I think he's one of the first players in the history of the league to have 4 years in a row at 14 plus sacks. It's unbelievable. He's only 29, but his team is 3-13. That's why you're not hearing more about him. I'm doing his game tomorrow. I've got Baltimore, Cleveland, so I watched their tape this week. He gets double teamed every friggin' snap, and he's still dominant. So Myles Garrett, to me, is still a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Mm-hmm. Patrick Surtain in Denver, the corner, another position of importance, corners and edge rushers. Former first-round pick. He's having a great year. I really like him. TJ Watt is in the conversation every year. We already mentioned 6 forced fumbles. So to me, they're the 4 guys off the top of my head. Trey Hendrickson's having a real good year, but I don't think he has the overall numbers as those other guys. So I'm happy you brought the numbers up because his number, I knew he was having a great year. His numbers were even better than what I thought.
See, and that's because his name isn't big enough that people are talking about it all the time. So tell Philadelphia, final, Zack Baun, would Mike Mayock say that Zack Baun is a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year right now?
Is he a candidate? Yeah. He's in my head, he's one of the 4 primary candidates. He's had an unbelievable year, and he's helped that whole defense become what it is. So he's absolutely a prime candidate. Whether or not I would vote for him is a different question, but he is one of the 4 primary candidates, and I could not be happier for that kid. He's been unbelievable.
I know. Aside from the football part, you know me, I like the human interest part.
Yeah.
And so just the underdog, we talked about this before, when you're the right complete package delivered to the wrong address, wrong environment, and he's found himself, he stuck to what he knew. He worked hard, kept his head down, knew he could do it, knew he could achieve more, found himself in the right environment with the Eagles and Vic Fangio, and now is having the best season he's ever had. So it's a great story. And to me, I mean, and you know this too, he's my favorite player this entire season. So I'm all for Zack Baun, Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm really happy for him. And I think he's making the Eagles very proud as a Pro Bowl selection too. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and he's going to make it hard for Howie and the Eagles because they signed him for a 1-year deal, which is what veterans typically do. For I forget $3.5 million.
Right.
And Howie doesn't like to invest money at that position, so they're going to have to find a way to make him happy, I think.
Yeah, there was a bunch of signs at the games and a bunch of tweets, all just saying, pay Zack Baun.
Yeah, hope they do.
Me too. I know, me too. Okay, sticking with the Eagles. There's another incentive record-based situation going on here right now with Saquon Barkley. So he's 101 yards shy of the all-time rushing record currently held by Eric Dickerson. Nick Sirianni and the Eagles are, as of right now, not planning to play most of their starters, meaning Saquon Barkley is probably not going to get this record if that's how that goes. What do you feel about this? Should he get the opportunity to get that record if he wants it? Or what do you feel?
I feel like 100% of the time, the team trump the wishes or needs of the individual. I think common sense comes into it. Like if he was 9 yards short and you could run the first team out there for 3 snaps and get it for him.
Like a Josh Allen. I think they're probably doing that with him. I think he's like 15 yards shy of something too, an incentive, and so they'll put him in for a play, and that'll be that. Yeah.
So if there's some common sense that says, but the bottom line, and this is why I love Saquon Barkley so much. I mean, he made a comment that the people in his family want it more than he does, that record, and he's fine with whatever Nick wants to do, and that's one of the reasons the Eagles are where they are today is because of his unselfish attitude. I think is rubbed off on that whole team. So I think it's 100% incumbent upon the head coach to say, listen, this is bigger than all of us. We have a chance to make a run and win a Super Bowl, and it's got to be team first. So I'm 100% behind Nick Sirianni.
Okay, so I was feeling that way, and I do completely get that, and part of me still is with you on that. Until I realized, I don't think I realized how elusive that record is. It's been held for 40 years by Eric Dickerson, and people don't get 2,000-yard rushing seasons more than once, if they even get to once. So to me, that made me want it for Saquon more. I think it's just I want him to have the opportunity if he wants it, and he doesn't seem to me to be like someone who is going to ask for it. He is going to put the team first. So that's when my thinking comes into effect. Like, is it something that the coach should say, hey, do you want this? We'll play the starters for a half if you want this. You have gotten us through all these games. We'll put you on our shoulders and get you through this one. Or even his teammates, if they're sensing that they want to get their guy this record and they know he's not going to ask for it himself. Is that a situation in a locker room when they go up and say, hey, coach, let's get him this record? At least let him try. We want
There's got to be an adult in the room at all times. And again,
what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is it's really easy to get emotional about, hey, let's go get him the record.
So you're calling me a child?
A little bit.
I just, to me, he is exactly what you said. He is such a team first guy. But
honey, let me ask you a question. Okay. Let me flip the tables here.
Okay.
He needs 101 yards, right?
Yeah.
But
they're playing against the Giants.
Doesn't matter. Say it takes him 18 to 20 carries to get there.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's got 93 yards and 18 carries. And on the 19th carry, he tears his ACL.
I understand.
Or he rips a hamstring or gets a concussion. At that point, how do you feel? Like maybe
deflated.
there should have been an adult in the room that said, no, we can't do this.
No, I get both sides. I do. I guess, but the most important thing is a team win.
Yeah.
He's such a selfless guy. It seems that it tears at my heart that I just want to get it for him. Put me in. Can I get it for you? Like,
no, I know. And so do his teammates, I'm sure. But I also think winning a Super Bowl is one of the most rare forms of accomplishment in pro sports. It's hard. It's really hard. And as good as that one game accomplishment, the one season accomplishment is for rushing yards, assuming he gets it. Who knows if he gets it? But even if he got it, it would be nothing in comparison to hoisting a Lombardi trophy with his teammates.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I do get that part. And you know what else I didn't understand too? Well, it didn't hit me at first when I was thinking about this. You can't just put him in. You have to use the starters, whatever starters you have. So it's a lot more of a thing than not. And so I completely understand, and I don't disagree with the decision that was made. I just wish he could have both.
Well, it kind of sums up your life. You want everything both ways, right?
Who doesn't? Okay. Anyway. So the other somewhat question mark in Philadelphia right now, it's Friday afternoon, NFL Week 18, and Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol as far as we know after coming out of the game early versus the Commanders, 2 weeks ago? Three. So this would be 3.
Yeah. It's just 2 weeks.
Okay. So isn't that kind of a long time to be in concussion protocol?
Not necessarily. The basic concussions guys get typically cleared in a week.
Okay.
As they go through the protocol, by the end of the week, they can work out. And if they can work out, that's the final hurdle.
Isn't that level 5? Aren't there 5?
I forget.
I was looking it up. There are 5.
Yeah,
it's 1 to 5, and it ends with on the field working out with the trainer. Yeah.
Correct. So a lot of players get through it in that 1 week period. If you have a short week, you play on a Sunday and then a Thursday, you got basically no chance. Or even a Sunday to Saturday can be hard. But Sunday to Sunday, a lot of players get there. This is week 2. Okay. There's no real hurry, and they don't hurry the protocol anyway. But I would assume that by the end of this weekend, as they start to get into wild card prep, I would assume he's probably going to clear and have a full week of prep. That's what the Eagles would hope for.
Okay. Now, does it worry you at all that he hasn't been on the field for this long? Going into say he's cleared after this week, and then it's playoff prep. Does it concern you at all that he'll be, a little rusty, maybe not the same guy? It just that kind of 4 game, because he was out in the first half of the Commanders game, so that was early on. So that's 3 games,
2.5 games.
Okay, well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a lot, no?
A little bit, and I don't disagree that it's. I mean, I think either way, though, it was going to be a week because they're not playing the starters this weekend.
Right. But the reports that I've read, he hasn't been on the practice field. He hasn't been, for as much as we know, he could be still in a dark room, unable to, we don't know where he is in the protocol, but
yeah, we can't speculate, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
If you're asking me my worry about him being rusty, it's minimal.
Okay.
All the starters are going to have a week. He's going to have 2.5.
Okay.
And if he gets, here's what I think. If he gets a full week of practice next week, he should be fine. If he doesn't, then I'd start to get nervous.
Okay. That makes sense. Who would you rather see the Eagles play in the first round of playoffs?
Well, it's either going to be Green Bay or Washington.
Right. So who would you?
They beat Green Bay week 1.
But that was week 1 Green Bay was a lot different of a team than week 18 Green Bay.
For both of them.
Well, yeah, true. Mm-hmm.
For both teams. I mean, the Eagles were 2-2 after 4.
Okay. So what do you think? What do you see?
So here's what I think. I think Green Bay is a better team overall. Mm-hmm. There's more talent, but that Washington quarterback scares the hell out of me, even though he's only a rookie. And to me, he's a wild card. And that's what we talked about before the Washington game. Yep. What a wild card he is. And then he went out and, went crazy. Despite they turning the ball over, 5 times? They still beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
So both of those teams are really strong for a 7 seed.
Yeah. I don't like either.
Yeah. But, and then you got to beat them, and you could be facing, the loser of Detroit and Minnesota. Who knows?
Don't like that either.
So that's what's so awesome about the playoffs.
It's gonna be really fun.
Yeah.
I just hope everyone's healthy, good to go. Do you have any thoughts on the Giants game coming up, or not really?
I think the biggest question, if you're an Eagles fan, is, how far can you go without Jalen Hurts?
Right.
What happens if, and, I watched the tape of all Kenny Pickett's throws last week. And, even though he's a former first-round pick, you go into the wild card round and you need to win 4 in a row to go to win a Super Bowl. You need 4. And, can you see them winning a Super Bowl with Kenny Pickett for 4 games? I can't. And
can you see them winning 4 games with Tanner?
With Jalen?
No, Tanner, the next guy.
No.
Okay.
No. With Jalen.
Can you see them winning with Jalen?
It gives them a fighting chance, sure.
Okay.
And they get Dallas Goedert back, which I think is a big deal because your Penn State guy, Dotson, never really came through with anything. So I would think Goddard will probably get a lot of his snaps. And who's played well is Calcaterra. He's done a nice job. And there's another one of the guys you probably like, kind of a little bit of a good story around them.
Yes, a little underdog.
A little underdog deal. Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting to see when they get in the playoffs if they go to more 12 personnel, which is 2 tight ends instead of 3 wideouts. So I'm excited. I think if you're an Eagles fan, this is a really cool time coming up.
Yeah, until it's cool right now, then it gets stressful. But that's how it goes every single time.
Right? That's better than being the Giants right now. Watching Saquon rip the leg up.
Yeah, very much so. Losing sleep.
Yep.
What game do you have tomorrow?
I've got Cleveland at Baltimore at the early game Saturday at 4:30.
That'll be fun. Well, it'll probably be a blowout, right?
Well, I mean, the way Baltimore's defense has played the last several weeks compared to the way Cleveland's offense has played, which has been awful. Cleveland's offense has scored 7, 6, and 3 the last 3 weeks. And Baltimore's defense has been outstanding. Cleveland's starting a new backup quarterback, Bailey Zappi. So, you know, if Baltimore plays the way it should, it's the biggest underdog thing. I think they're favored by like 17 points, which I haven't seen in years.
Yeah, the money line on that game for the Ravens to win is negative 28,000.
I don't even know what that means. I just know I haven't seen a 17-point line in years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wild. But that'll be fun. It looks like we're in the same house, but we're not.
We're not.
Do you notice that? I shout out to my best friend, Marissa. I'm at her house, and my backdrop now looks 1,000 times better than it has all season. So thanks, Marissa. If any of you need an interior decorator, her whole entire home looks like she came out of Architectural Digest. So just let me know. I'll put you on with Marissa.
Nice job, Lee.
You know that. You can co-sign that. It's true, isn't it?
Yes. Always love Marissa.
Okay. Well, that was so fun. Thank you for being here. We will talk again after. And
I hope you feel better. I hope you feel better, honey.
Yeah. Sorry to everyone. I sound like this because I am unwell, but it's okay. It's fine.
Good job.
It's winter. That's what happens. Okay. Thanks, guys. Love you, Dad. Thank you.
You got it.
Bye.
Bye, honey.